For as weird as cryptids are, there's kind of a sliding scale, I guess you could say, of just how out there these undiscovered creatures can be. On one end of the spectrum, you have something like, say, the thylacine or the Tasmanian tiger, an animal that is said to have gone extinct less than 100 years ago, September 7th, 1936 to be exact, that lives in an extremely remote, sparsely populated area, and was a well-documented creature when we still had one in captivity. On the other end of the spectrum, you have something like, say, the Mothman, with a humanoid body, giant wings, the ability to either predict or cause the Silver Bridge collapse, and also the ability to achieve flight speeds over 100 miles per hour. It's not very likely that Point Pleasant's lamp-loving legend is just some mundane creature that's escaped the fossil record. What I find even more mysterious are cryptids that seem to be on both sides of the spectrum. The prime example of this is the Dogman. The Dogman is a werewolf-like creature with a dog head, dog fur, and dog feet, but a body like a man's. Now, if you look at one of these creatures, it's pretty common for eyewitnesses to say they're something from a world other than our own, whether they be demons, aliens, or interdimensional travelers, is dependent on the person's worldview. This is also supported by the fact that, unlike other bipedal cryptids, like say Bigfoot, there isn't really a precedent for an 8-foot tall upright walking canine. But on the other hand, there are many, many reports of them behaving just like other regular, if very large and very strange-looking woodland creatures, with them being seen eating roadkill, drinking dirty water, sleeping, and a handful of people have even been unlucky enough to catch them mating. These things all point towards them being naturally occurring creatures. Another area where they seem to differ in is whether or not they can be hurt or even killed. Some encounters reported them either not being injured or phased by bullets, some just saying that bullets just passed straight through them, while the reports say that bullets took out chunks of their bodies and a few even killed, whether it be by gunfire, being run over, or meeting a Sasquatch who was having one heck of a bad day. Some behaviors, such as them haunting the dreams of those who've seen them for years, have me split. Seeing a real-life werewolf seems to be traumatizing enough, without a paranormal aspect. Their intelligence muddles the truth even further. There are stories of them attempting to open cars, and even breaking into homes, instinctively fleeing upon seeing firearms, and showing off some fairly advanced techniques when hunting, such as attempting to lure humans outside through various methods. On one hand, that would suggest a human-like intelligence that shouldn't exist in a naturally occurring creature. On the other hand, animals such as Coco, the sign language speaking gorilla, has shown that humans might not be that intellectually removed from the food chain. On the topic of entering homes, some particularly terrifying encounters report them appearing out of thin air in people's bedrooms, only to vanish without a trace. I personally have two little theories to try to explain these stark differences. The first is that the more paranormal type dogmen are skinwalkers. For anyone who isn't aware, a skinwalker is a Navajo shaman who committed a grievous crime against a blood relative in exchange for black magic-like abilities, the most famous of which is shapeshifting. A giant wolf does seem to be one of the more popular forms for these fiendish Four Corners dwellers, so a dogman is really just a step up on the food chain. My other theory comes from a letter from a 9th century theologian entitled, "Do the Dog-Headed Men Have Souls?" Since the time of the Roman Empire, these half-man, half-canine creatures have been seen and interacted with. Back then, instead of dogmen, they called them the cynocephali. If we can assume they do have souls, then, well, if you already believe in dogman, it's not too much of a stretch to believe in ghosts, and that would certainly explain their ability to appear and disappear and be unaffected by gunfire. But I'll always be the first to say there are no experts when it comes to cryptozoology, least of all myself, so I want your opinions. Where do you lean? Have you seen anything that leads you to believe either way? Let me know in the comment section below.